Is the Trump-era ban on bump stocks unconstitutional? Does that regulation violate your Second Amendment right? Well, today, the Supreme Court said they are going to decide. This now makes two major gun cases the Supreme Court will hear this term. So let me give you a little context about this case. So remember that horrific mass shooting in Las Vegas back in 2017? Well, the shooter used what are called bump stocks on several of his weapons. Just to make it simple, a bump stock is an attachment that can be added to a firearm that enables the shooter to rapidly fire multiple rounds from semi-automatic weapons after an initial trigger pull. At the time, bump stocks were legal. But after what happened in Las Vegas in 2018, at the direction of then-President Trump, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives changed the definition of the word machine gun in the Gun Control Act of 1968 and the National Firearms Act of 1986. And that change meant bump stocks would now be categorized as part of the machine gun family and therefore would be banned. By 2019, they became illegal to own. Well, several lawsuits were filed in several different states challenging this definition change. And over the years, multiple rulings in federal appeals courts have come down supporting the ATF's decision to change the definition, which ultimately banned bump stocks. But in January of this year, the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals ruled that the ban was unconstitutional. They said the ATF did not have the authority to change the definition of the word machine gun. Instead, the court ruled Congress would have to change the law if they wanted to get rid of bump stocks. Well, the Biden administration appealed that ruling, and today, since there are conflicting rulings among the appeals courts, the Supreme Court said they will hear the case to determine if indeed it is constitutional for the ATF to classify bump stocks as part of a machine gun. And as I said at the beginning of the video, this isn't the only gun case the Supreme Court is hearing this term. Next week, the court is also going to hear United States versus Rahimi. I told you all about that case in this video back in July. In this case, the court will have to answer the question, does someone with a court-approved domestic violence restraining order have a Second Amendment right to possess a gun? So, how will the justices answer these questions? Well, they are going to use the landmark test that they came up with during the last term, called the Bruen test. The Bruen test says modern-day laws must be consistent with the nation's historical tradition of firearm regulation. Basically, the test says in order for any modern-day gun law to be constitutional, those laws must have ties to gun laws from America's founding. They don't have to be twin laws, but they have to have some traditional roots. The Supreme Court will hear the bump stock case next year, and will hear the Rahimi case next week. Decisions on both are expected at the end of the term in June.